Hello, this is Sabrina Young with Young's Daughters Funeral Home and Bereavement Center. This video is about grandparents' grief. Grandparents' grief is something that is a two-time double the amount of grief. And that's because they are not only grieving their child at their loss, but also the relationship of that grandchild. That relationship with that grandchild could be something that was very dear and close to that grandparent. And sometimes the children might live afar, but they had an electronic communications, FaceTimes and telephone calls with them. But most of all, they're going to grieve the fact that that relationship isn't going to be of the future, that they didn't fully develop that relationship that they wish they could have or have in the future in that growing phases. So grandparents are extremely brokenhearted because of that double digestion of grief. And so how can we help? There are ways to help your grandparents. That is by making sure that you as a child connect with your parents about your loss, make them feel important, inviting them to help with the funeral arrangements and being a part of it. A lot of times funeral directors will offer the ability to touch or hold, cradle an infant, and it can be very healing if done appropriately. And so grandparents want to have that ability to dress the child or hand hold or cradle hold. And so these are healing steps not only for the parents, but also for the grandparents. We need to realize that the grief of the grandparents, realize that it's not a natural order for a child or grandchild to pass away before a parent. And so it causes a lot of mixed emotions. It brings guilt that they feel that they have lived a long life. And if it wasn't a tragedy or a sudden death, they typically try to bargain with God on the child's behalf. And they say, Lord, I've lived a strong life and a long life. Please take me instead. And so when that bargain isn't met and the child does pass, they become very guilty. They even become angry with God at that time, because it's very frustrating to see a young's life go before our own. So we need to respect grandparents, respect their faith, enhance them with spirituality, comfort, encourage them to speak with a pastor, to have a chaplain come by the house, have support and volunteers come out, because it's very healing to be able to tell the same story until you can process it, until you can accept it. So the more opportunities that the grandparents can share the story begins a comfort and a good healing path for them. So how can we get them this support? Well, the Young's Daughters Funeral Home has a variety of grief support systems. I have partnered with Sue Hamby and Janet Sutton years ago to have Compassionate Friends, which is a program, a nonprofit organization for grandparents and parents who've lost children and siblings that have lost siblings, a way to support. We have a yearly grief conference, and it is tremendously healing, and we encourage you to look at our Facebook events page, sign up for the Compassionate Friends. Look also on our Facebook page, you'll see there's virtual grief groups for parents that have lost children and grandparents. We also have various meetups, so you can go to Facebook events and see the different meetups for groups. We like to host yearly a balloon release and a walk to remember, which will be upcoming in 2021. And lastly is to send a call and a reminder on the children's dates of their birth dates and passing dates, anniversary dates, and remembering them and sharing on that child's legacy by sharing the story, even keeping pictures, trying to incorporate the memory of that child is still very important. So if you know of a loved one who is a grandparent that's grieving, give them a double dosage of love, because they are carrying a double grief. So I hope you found this helpful, and I definitely want to credit Alan Wolfelt for some of these key points, as well as Glenda Stansbury. She was my professor while I was at UCO, and her father, Doug Manning. He states also that, just listening with your heart is very important. Being physically present. You don't always have to say the right thing or even say anything at all. So I think showing them the support and offering community support, and that will speak volumes to our grandparents. Thank you so much for giving my family the opportunity to serve you and your family. Thank you so much.